But joining us now, Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, Illinois member of the House Oversight and Intel Committees. Good morning, Congressman. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie.
I want to pivot to a topic we were not talking about at all, but is some breaking news this morning that Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected the Trump peace plan that involves disarming Hamas. This is the 15-point plan backed by the Trump administration aimed at disarming the Palestinian militant group Hamas in Gaza. That is what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday. I'm wondering what your response to this news is and Netanyahu's implicit decision not to withdraw Israeli troops from Gaza.
Well, I think that this is obviously something that Trump had blessed, and this kind of further signifies the break between him and Netanyahu. Look, Netanyahu is in big trouble electorally back in Israel, and I think that he's, kind of playing to his own extremist base more and more. But this is a situation that is just kind of emblematic, unfortunately, again, of just the chaos that's right now kind of evolving in the Middle East and Trump losing control on multiple fronts, including in the illegal and unconstitutional Iran war.
There's a lot happening in the Middle East when it comes to how the United States is engaging. And one of the things that used to be important is that there was some consistency in the thought process from president to president, whether they be Republican or Democrat. That is out the window. The Iran war is all over the place. It's very unclear when and how that is going to end. And also, typically, voters don't care about foreign policy. Generally, that is a broad generalization, but generally, they don't tend to care electorally unless there are actual boots on the ground, unless our men and women are on the ground in those places. And that seems to have changed. I think you're looking at the impacts of what's going on in the Middle East. You see the American people having huge concerns with it because of what's going on here. And I'm curious what you think about that kind of link that they're continuing to make and how Democrats are going to keep, exposing that link to your guys' advantage in November.
100%. I think they see the link directly between the Iran war and the price of gasoline. I mean, it's $4 plus in most of the country and even higher in other parts. And that, of course, trickles into the rest of the economy in terms of fueling inflation. But more than that, I think that it really signifies that the president is focused on priorities other than what the American people want him to be focused on, which is lowering the cost of living, focused on their health care and their education. The jobs report, as Jackie mentioned, was dismal. And I think people are starting to fear for loss of their jobs and employment. And the president is talking about his vanity projects, putting his face on the money and, a golden ballroom, as well as waging this illegal war. And so I think all of that contributes to a situation where I think Democrats, A, are incredibly enthusiastic about going to the polls in November. And then B, I think that a lot of independents are favoring Democrats right now to put a check on the president. And ultimately, that's the only way that we're going to have a real change in policy, and that is a change in management in Congress.
Congressman, speaking of the president not focusing on the priorities of the American people, let's hear from some of them. This is a compilation of folks I believe we talked to on Tuesday in various places around the country, their views on their frustrations with President Trump and the economy.
Seems like everything's going up, and I voted for him, so.
I was hoping that gas was going to go down so I could do something, You can't do anything with gas prices, and you just can't afford to breathe at this point.
He's looking out for himself. He's putting money in his pocket, building his wealth up, making sure he can take care of what he needs to, and then it doesn't matter what happens because he's set. He don't have to worry about it.
And, you know, it's important for people to hear what actual Americans dealing with President Trump's policies have to say, because as I keep pointing out in President Trump's interview with Jake Sherman at Punchbowl News, he doesn't think that he is that people are angry at him. He thinks people are angry at Republicans, but not him.
That's absolutely wrong. I mean, people are increasingly hearing about, him making more than $2 billion in 1 year in the first year of his presidency, which is just obscene. They hear about these vanity projects. They hear about the corruption, which seems to be pervasive in this White House, and the fact that, the billionaires and others who are surrounding him keep getting richer while they are struggling to afford the price of gas. You saw that woman at the gas pump. You could see the pain on her face as she is trying to pump gas, and she's got these kids she's trying to take care of at the same time, and she just can't. You can see it's hard for her to cope. And so I feel, as I hear from my constituents, that's exactly the type of emotion that they are kind of showing across the spectrum at this point.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you very much for coming to The Weekend.